Hey guys, what's up? I'm CJ and welcome back to my galaxy and welcome back to this week's film club. Today we are watching Hocus Pocus 1993. I have actually watched Hocus Pocus before and I actually really enjoyed it. I found it absolutely hilarious. It's quite a good comedy slash Halloween movie, and if you want to get in the Halloween mood, I would definitely recommend watching this movie, but I wanted to revisit it since I last watched it to see like if there was anything we could pick up on as well. And honestly, I just want you guys to watch this movie and I want to rewatch this movie, so that's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna talk about all the good, the bad, the ugly about this movie, and there's mostly good from my opinion. At the end of this video, I'll be telling you guys what we'll be watching next week, and if you go to my community tab through the week, I will also have a poll up for the following week's pick for the movie, so you guys get to vote kind of a week ahead, and then I'll announce it in next week's video. Usually I say my initial thoughts, and I kind of already did. It's a good movie and I'm looking forward to watching this one. All the characters from what I remember are pretty cool, but you know, maybe I'll find some things that I'm like, oh, that's a little bit outdated because it's a movie from the 90s. Like always when we're going into like older films, there are things that are always kind of a little bit iffy that I'm like, that's outdated. Maybe they shouldn't have said that. But without further ado, let's get into watching Hocus Pocus. An hour 37 minutes is so great for a movie. Absolutely love that. 17th century Salem witches. That's interesting. I always forget they're like proper Salem witches, and that's like the whole concept of the movie. 1693 Salem. That animation is so bad. It's so dated.
This is ice.
Nice haircut. This little girl here is so full of sass. She reminds me of my little sister. It's adorable.
We're home.
Look at these two dancing.
Do these just us? My curves work perfectly. I need one of those instant ice packs. You girls are giving me a fever.
Gross. This man is disgusting.
I put a spell on you.
Now it's turned into a bit of a musical, which is cool. I hate the animation of this cat. It's so freaky.
You'll never know how precious she is.
Gross. Oh, there goes Danny. Gone forever. No use screaming. That's not gonna bring her back. Why are they singing again? I did not realize there was... I did not know there was this much singing in this movie.
I know. She really hurt my feelings. She's jealous. She doesn't even know me. You know, I always wanted a child, and now I think I'll have one. Toast!
This guy's my favorite character, this little, like, undead guy.
Run, Jenny, run! Come on!
He's good for comedic relief. I think he's in the second movie too. Alright, so I watched Hocus Pocus and kind of revisited the movie, and honestly, overall, I have to say straight off the bat, absolutely love this movie, and I'm glad it ended up getting a sequel in the future. I would say the sequel is probably a bit more of a remake, and I'll probably watch that at some point, maybe next year for Halloween, who knows. I think one of my biggest issues though with this whole movie is that one bus driver. He's so gross. That was disgusting. That did not need to be in the film. I feel like that's like the most dated bit of the whole movie, is like a creepy bus driver from like the 90s, and I'm like, oh, that was unnecessary. We didn't need that in the movie. Please just cut it out. It was gross. And one of the witches sitting on his lap, that was gross. What I found most interesting, it was like the most interesting part of the whole movie, was figuring out what was so new to these witches. And I didn't realize, when they first like appear in the world, they think they're going to sink into like I think it's called tar of the road. And I think that's what it is. Whatever the road is made out of, I don't remember. It's something like that. It's not, is it tar? I don't know, bitumen. That's what they use. Is that? I don't even want to talk about it. It's very late when I'm recording this. And it's just whatever the road, they think they're gonna sink into it because they're not used to those materials, so they don't know what it looks like, because that's not what they were using in the 17th century to make roads. They had like dirt roads, and I wouldn't even have considered, if I was making the movie, I wouldn't have considered that, and I would not have put that in the film because it would not have been a thought. So to the director, good job for thinking of all the things that would have surprised these witches coming from the 17th century and missing 300 years. Of course, they're going to not understand what a road is and what that if they're gonna like sink into the road or not. And the bus as well, that one probably would have been the most obvious choice to be like, they don't know what a bus is. I think they would have known though. I think they would have understood basically what it was to like travel, surely, because wouldn't they have had like horse-drawn carriages at that point? I think they probably would have. So I don't know, maybe they could have figured it out if they wanted to, but maybe they just didn't care, because these witches, they're definitely, they're looking for kids so they can be young or youthful, look very young and not look old or anything. So maybe they just didn't care and they were just asking what it was so someone else will do their bidding, like they're slaves. You know, that might be it right there. And another thing, I said creepy bus driver earlier, the devil, the guy who was dressed as the devil, also so incredibly creepy. Why did we need creepy men in this movie? I could have gone without that. That's so weird. Why are all these men taking advantage of these witches who clearly, these are just women in general that clearly don't know what's going on? Why do I have to watch that? I did not appreciate that part of the movie. It took me a really embarrassingly long time to figure out, and I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm wrong, I didn't actually look at the cast list, but the brother and the sister from the 17th century that end up dead and the brother turning into a cat are the same actors as the brother and sister in like the modern present day in the movie, because they are the same actor, right? I'm pretty sure, yeah. And it just clicked at the end of the movie. I'm like, wait a minute. It was like panning between the brother and the other brother, and I'm like, they're the same actor. I did think their voices sounded really the same when the cat was speaking. And the cat, that animation freaked me out so bad. It was so weird to see the animation is like so 90s. It's very 1993. It was bad. The whole powers when she was like one of the witches, the main witch, older sister, was zapping them with like some lightning sort of magic, that looked not bad. It was very 1993, but it wasn't bad. The cat, like I said, creepy. They were very clearly using a real cat and overlaying this weird like eyes and mouth over it, and it was just like so uncanny valley. Didn't like it. Do not, I wish it would have had better animation, like it was like animated in the early 2000s, 2010s, where they had better like technology at that point, because that was really scary. I feel like the romantic subplot was really unnecessary. I don't know if that's just me and the fact that I'm aromantic and I can like pick up on the fact that like maybe romance didn't need to be there, because I can read a story or watch a movie or whatever without romance. But I just feel like she could have been a friend. She could have been they could have just ran into her at some point. It just didn't add any substance to the movie at all. Like the character, she was kind of important to the story because she was like helpful as a character in general, really helped out, and like the rescue of the sister, and like she played a proper role. She was a good character to have in the movie, but I don't think the romance part of it really helped at all, and I just wish it wasn't in there. I think they could have definitely really emphasized the familial relationships just that little bit more in the movie with the brother and the sister. They really did. They kind of did have it, but it was explicit in the way that it could have added, they could have added meaning by making more aspects implicit and emphasizing that, so it was more like the main theme of family. But rather they like diluted that with the romance subplot, so it kind of like split the themes in half and really divided the movie in a way. And I think what makes this movie so good is the familial aspects, because even with the antagonists, with the witches, right, they're sisters and they're really close as sisters. And it's something you can see a lot more in the sequel as well. Since I watched the sequel, I've only watched it once, but it's they have a very like sisterly bond, despite the fact that in this movie they do attack each other, or the main witch, the main sister, is she kind of like hits them, but it's more, if you have siblings, you get it. Like you like attack each other, but then like 5 minutes later you'll love them again, but you'll never admit it. So it's great because siblings. But they really could have added that bond a lot more in this movie. You know, one thing I absolutely loved, I know I complained a bit about the animation, but the practical effects where they didn't have to put the animation in, that's one thing that I absolutely love about like older movies, is because that the technology wasn't up to the standard of all these people's ideas, that they really had to lean on practical effects. The practical effects, specifically the book, this spell book, that I love the spell book, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people think so, because I've seen that spell book being replicated in different ways all over the internet. So from what I can tell, people absolutely love the spellbook, and I love it, and I love the practical effects, and I feel like movies nowadays really need to be doing that more often. I've seen recently, if you guys have watched Agatha All Along, also about witches, it's an MCU movie, a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, and they used practical effects for this one like demon, I guess, or curse, generational curse thing. You'd have to watch the series to be able to understand it, but they used practical effects for this one creature, and it looked so cool. And I feel like Hocus Pocus really did that with the book, and they probably could have done it a lot more, I reckon, just because the technology was not up to the standard that it needed to be for this film. Especially, you can tell when things were a green screen, and I usually give older movies that like leeway, like they get, it's fine, like if I can tell it's a green screen, because this technology, once again, it wasn't developed to the point that like I'm used to seeing in newer movies. So when they're on their brooms, that it's always interesting to see, but it's honestly, as long as you can't see the strings, it's good. The comedy genre of this movie is really where this whole movie shines, and I feel like I'm actually laughing at this movie. There's not a lot of movies that are counted as comedies that I'm like genuinely laughing at, that maybe I'll like laugh every so often at, but this one, like every joke lands and I love it, and it's so funny. This movie, as a Halloween movie, if you just want to have a laugh and not have like watch some scary horror movie, great. It's like really good, family friendly, aside from that bus driver. But if you're watching it with like little kids, then they'll probably fly over their heads. The bus driver and that guy dressed as the devil, gross. But for the most part, it's a family movie, and it's just a little bit dated. So if you want like a good laugh for a Halloween movie, that is like Hocus Pocus is the one you want to be watching. Also, just like a side note, is the costume design. I absolutely love pointing out like set design and costume design. The set design of the, I don't remember their names, but the witches, their last name, whatever that is, their last name is what they call them. Their house is so cool. Set design absolutely amazing. I think they turned their house into a museum, which is the same set as the 17th century scenes. So it'd be like the same thing, and it looked so cool. And it really looked like, you know, the trope of the three witches comes from, I think it's Macbeth. It comes from Shakespeare play, and I'm pretty sure it's Macbeth, where the three witches are predicting Macbeth's future. And it really gives those vibes of those three witches, and you can tell that's where that trope came from, was directly like Macbeth. And the costume design of the witches, I love it so much. I love the like, it was just so extravagant, and it really matched their whole demeanors, their characterization. It really added to their characters as a whole. Also loved the makeup and the costume design of like the undead slash zombie guy who was from the 17th century, who like kind of was one of the witches brought him back to life, and I think they were like with him, dating him, whatever the hell, like had some sort of relationship. One of the witches, I don't even remember which one it was, one of the witches had some kind of relationship with this guy and like was putting a spell on the poor guy. I love the costume design for him, and I feel like in the sequel as well he's a bit more of a comedic relief and he's in it a bit more to my recollection. So yeah, he wasn't in this movie a whole lot, and I feel like maybe he could have been, it would have been a bit better to see him more. I will say that the protagonists, the three protagonists, I would say like the love interest, the brother and the sister, were kind of two-dimensional and could have had better characterization, which is why I love the witches so much. Even though they're the antagonists, it's so much more entertaining watching them than the protagonist's point of view. And I'm sorry if you like the protagonist, but I just didn't. I feel like it could have been done so much better. Hocus Pocus in general is just a really fun watch, and you can just watch it, sit down on Halloween, watch it, have a bit of a laugh. And if you don't like horror movies, then this is absolutely perfect for you to watch on Halloween. Now that I've spoken about Hocus Pocus, I want to get into what we're going to be watching next week. And next week, with over 50% of the votes, last I checked, we're going to be watching The Nightmare Before Christmas. I haven't watched The Nightmare Before Christmas for a long time, so I'm actually quite looking forward to rewatching it and having a look at how it's held up compared to like what I remember of the movie. If you guys would like to vote for what movie we will be watching next, please go through my community tab, and there's going to be a poll, and there will be like 3 options of what movies I'm going to be able to watch next. And you guys will be able to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas, and it'll give you an opportunity to choose which film on the poll that you want to watch as well, since this is kind of like a you watch the film, I watch the film, and then we come here and discuss. So obviously I want to know your thoughts on Hocus Pocus down in the comment section below. Who was your favorite character? What did you think overall? What would you rate this movie? Do you think this is a good Halloween movie? Do you think there are some things that are a little bit outdated? Please let me know in the comment section down below. I said this earlier in the video, but the zombie guy, definitely my favorite character by far. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and obviously comment in the comment section down below. I greatly appreciate it, and it really helps out this channel. But once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. But I've been CJ, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!